And now, a workshop of the McAllen City Commission. All workshops are open to the public in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. These workshops allow for detailed staff presentations.
And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's workshop. We'll call this workshop to order. The first order of business is, do we have any questions from the commission to staff regarding any meeting items?
None.
And the answer is no. Item number 2, discussion on Hidalgo County Recreational Trail.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Commissioner, Mayor. So we brought this back to you back in May of this year, and we just wanted to follow back up to share with you the funding that that we came up with to show you guys what our portion of that funding would be. And how much that would come out to. So if you remember, here's the map of what the county proposed. We are in that blue section on the right-hand side. It is approximately about 8.8 miles of trail that they want to come through and have a partnership with the city, as you can see there. The total cost that the county is requiring from us is 50%, is going to be about $3.1 million for our portion of the 8.8 miles. We do have funds that I do want to share with you. Not here on the slide, but if you looked at the budget amendment ordinance, you could see the funding there and the accounts. So we are looking at the Infrastructure and Improvement Fund, New Parks and Recreation Area, Campground Projects Land Acquisition, and CDBG funding.
I had a question, Denny.
Yes, sir.
A lot of this seems unchanged from near February or March, right, when we saw this. From what I recall, I know it's split up sort of by the amount of trail that exists within each city, and it's kind of just done by percentage.
Correct.
But hadn't we asked for kind of a breakdown as to what aspects of our trail were actually going to involve, what dollars were actually going to be spent on the ground within McAllen, right? Because a lot of it was going to utilize just existing trail that we have, right, or existing
So
amenities that we already have. It was just going to connect. So if we're not spending the money on adding, improving, or expanding that, what is, in other words, what aspects of our trail is McAllen going to be improved upon?
So the majority of that is going to be improved on. And so
All of it.
the majority of it, yes, sir. So I know when he said there was a portion going underneath by the golf course, there was currently a bridge there. There is a trail, but it's not a distinct trail per se. And most of this is going on irrigation, along irrigation or drainage. So that's where the bulk of the money will be spent. Will be spent on the trail itself.
So you think out of our 50% of about 3.1, most of that will 3.1.
So total of that was 6.2.
Yes, half of theirs. Half
Correct.
of ours.
Half is coming
So
to
you're-
us at a 6.2.
I know this is a regional project, so I'm not nitpicking really, but you do believe close to the 6.2 will be spent in McAllen?
Yes.
Reasonably.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
sir.
I wanted to make sure that it was clear, and you just clarified it, that it's 50% of what's gonna be spent in McAllen that
McAllen.
we're paying. And so the county's actually picking up 50% of the tab that's inside the city of McAllen.
Yeah, because it's 11 million total.
It's 11
right?
million.
11 million
Six
total.
belongs to us. And then
Correct.
Those 6 is 3.
Correct.
We're paying as
Yeah.
our contribution.
Correct.
That's fine.
But the cost was split up by how much of the trail lies within your city. So
Right.
it's percentage of trail within the city. It wasn't necessarily percentage of cost.
There's gonna be a lot of irrigation and drainage,
Yes, sir.
so no need to buy any.
No, sir. County
Right-of-ways and
will
everything
take
like
care
that?
of all that, the permits for the
Okay.
right of way and all. And so their portion of that, they will handle that
Do
permits.
you know how fast will the construction?
As soon as they secure the funding, well, I mean, they have the funding. As soon as they secure the commitment from us, they will start.
How long it'll take, do you know?
I'm not sure. I don't know that. I can find out.
We'll
from
have it on
Commissioner.
the MOU. If you approve it today, we'll have an MOU on the agenda next meeting. And we'll stipulate 2 things. One is when they'll start, I think it's November, is what Commissioner Cantu had indicated,
Okay.
November of this year.
Well, that's,
Pretty quick.
And then 2, we want to make sure that the maintenance is addressed. Our assumption is that we will maintain what's in the city, and someone else obviously will maintain outside the city. But
And
that ILA should be on the agenda next meeting.
And I haven't seen it on the county, but he might have it. Are we gonna name this whole trail? Will it be named something? Will it have like a designated name? And I assume part of the construction includes markers for people to know how to stay on it?
Correct, and so that would be ironed out in the ILA. You know, amenities that are gonna be along the trail, benches, light. And so, you know, that's something that we can come up with, you know, a name for it.
Well, us or the county.
Or the
right?
county
It'd
comes
be
up
nice
with
to
a
have
name
something
for
you
it.
can reference.
Right.
And people know what trail you're talking about.
Yeah, as long as it's not the FAR trail.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the issues that I had raised, and I think one of the other commissioners, was the lighting issue. I know it's still very preliminary and all that, but Roy mentioned maintenance, and one of the things that popped up was lighting and the call boxes, because some of that area is very, very remote in terms of a near, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's near half a mile or maybe a mile before you get to the next, you know, major intersection. And since it is in a somewhat remote part of the city, or some part of that trail, especially what appears to be south of the airport, someone has an accident, to access for EMS or emergency vehicles, PD. I mean, I think that's something we need to also consider and think about, especially that area almost directly south of the airport.
Correct, and I know when they did the trails and FAR, they did look at that, the lighting and the call boxes. And that's something that we would definitely look into, since that's part of our plan already on our hike and bike trails and in parks, to address that with the county when that time comes.
And I think maybe as an alternative, I'll finish real quick. I don't know, the solar lights that are along, similar to what's
Yeah.
along Benson Hike and Bike might be implemented to.
And they did ask that to us prior to starting this, or coming to us for this project, did we prefer electrical or solar? We mentioned solar just because of the cost savings, not just only on the lighting, but the trenching of the lines to install the electrical components. And so that's something that we would recommend again.
Very good, thank you.
Correct.
Does our commitment of 3.2 million, does it include the lighting already?
As of now, I just believe it's the trail.
Just the trail.
Correct. So that's something that I would need to go back and ask to see if that includes that, or if that's something that we have to plan for the future and to develop.
Okay. What's the surface of the trail? What's it gonna be?
I want to say he said it was concrete,
Okay.
And the width?
10 feet.
Oh, good. It's a good, very good width.
You're talking about like nine miles. Give or
The
take.
same thing.
Our share.
Yeah, 8.8, it's nice.
That's a lot of cubic yards of concrete, right?
It's a lot. If it was asphalt or DG, you know, it's the same square feet, so.
And that's gonna connect to the Second Street Hike and Bike Trail, right?
That will go right by Second Street Hike and Bike District.
It's a great project.
It is.
Anything else? All right, we'll go to the next item. Thank you so much.
Kapler's also here.
So before Danny gets started, I just wanted to give an update as to the progress for Kepler Park. We're at 95% plans right now. We're about 45 days away from having a full bid set, so that we can give it a purchasing, so they can put that in to solicit out for bidding. The project currently, as we have designed, or what Danny will be showing, without alternate, is about $1,235,000 of what he'll be showing. There are some alternates that could take the project up to $1,515,000 roughly. And then I'll pass it over to Denny so he can go over the project and show you the amenities of that, but I wanted to give a quick update to the project.
So yeah, I'm just going to give you a general overlay of what the project's going to look like or what it could look like. Then I'll have Karina go into more of the different amenities and the potential programming that we could offer at this facility. And so, as you can see on the screen there, it is located in North McAllen, north of Frontera Road and main entrance on 23rd Street. The property is about a 20-acre property that includes a lake within the property. And as you can see there, those are some of the amenities that as a group, when we came together to plan this out, thought it would be imperative to have. So there's going to be a gazebo, a campsite, an archery range, a fishing dock, kayak dock, also a fishing and kayak loading, boat ramp loading dock, parking lot. There's going to be an additional parking lot as well, and then hike and bike trails. Other amenities that we would like to see include restrooms, some solar lighting. We will have a 3D archery range where we can host tournaments with 3D animals, a multi-purpose meadow, an open campfire, a security booth, camp signage, and an informational hut. And so, you know, as the team, as we look through this and how we could utilize and maximize the potential of this property and looking into a campground, these are the amenities that we came up with. And so now I'll have Karina go over some of those amenities more in detail and then explain different type of programmings that we could offer there at that site. Also coming back, and something that we may want to discuss, I know we call it Capeller property, Capeller campground, but we would want to bring it back to see if the commission would want to stick with that name, or if we want to go, you guys recommend a name and we vote on a new name for this property. If not, Capeller campground, I think has a little ring to it, so just a thought.
How did Capra come about?
The
How did
people,
Capra come about?
it's the people that donated the land,
Okay. Okay.
the family that donated the land.
Good afternoon, everybody. The amenities and details that I'm going to share are really a representation of our team coming together as we've been visiting the site over the last few months and trying to achieve that goal of a fully immersive experience for anyone who comes out and enjoys. So as we were placing the different amenities, some of the ones Denny mentioned and the more specific images that I'm going to show you, we really wanted to make sure that where we were kind of approaching the potential areas for all of these amenities, we were allowing the possibility that if you're going from one space to the other, you're going to get that campsite experience, you're going to get that park experience where you're going to go through some taller brush and be able to take a little hike until you get to the next space. So we didn't want it to be wide open. We wanted to have our patrons feel like they were immersed in the park. So you'll see some of that as I go through the details. The first one I wanted to share with you is the 2 trails that we'll have on the site. Currently, we're planning a walking trail that's about 3/4 mile, and that's what you see in the blue on this space, on this image, excuse me. And then, of course, the biking trail that measures about 1.25 miles. Now, keep in mind that these are what we're estimating right now, and as we really get boots on the ground to start defining these trails, we'll have a better idea of what the final length will be. And again, all of these amenities that we've been working towards, we're keeping in mind how are we creating that immersive experience for everyone? How is this park going to be inclusive to everyone who wants to join us out there? And obviously making sure that we're ADA accessible in the different spaces. Regarding the bicycle trail, we have met and initiated conversations with Valley Off-Road Bicycle Association, who's worked to develop other trails in our region. The really great thing about them is that they are very well versed in terms of what amenities like this need and how we can move forward in the planning to make sure that we're falling within the International Mountain Biking Association rules. So the great thing is that as we continue those discussions, we expect that we'll be able to be receiving the IMBA certification. And what that means as an example is that we'll be able to categorize our different areas of our trails. So if you think of skiing, there's the black trail, the red. We would have, for example, a smooth trail would be green. A trail with more burns and rollers might be blue. So That is a partnership that we're definitely fostering and wanting to continue so that as we're ready to unveil the biking trail, we're fully educated in terms of that. Another thing that they've done is really help develop a 911 system when it comes to trail systems like this. What that means is that we'll be able to create markers along the trail where if a biker does get injured, they will be able to be identified by emergency services in terms of where they are, what's the closest entrance to get to them as easily as possible, and also what kind of tools they'll need to be able to get to them and get them out safely and quickly. Another amenity that we're planning for this space is a gazebo. Right now, we're planning for about a 30-foot wide gazebo that would be round, that would really lend itself as a meeting point, a place to get out of the sun. But we're really envisioning it as a space where once we have these groups coming out to enjoy and, go along the trail or head out to the docks to head out to the water or even the campsite, they'll be able to have a common place to meet, maybe have their lunch, do an activity, do a meeting before they head out. So that's what the main purpose of the gazebo is, but we've been bouncing a lot of different ideas of all of the unlimited things that could go on under there. The gazebo does have next to it, that you'll see on this picture in close proximity, the main restroom of the Kapler Campground. So you'll see that right there on the bottom left in terms of where it's planned for the location. This next image is showing you the possible area and the planned area for the campsites. So what we're planning is a space that would be secured by master design fencing in the evenings. It will have the option, as of right now, for up to 12 camp pads, and they'll be designated with, what you might think of as timber stumps or something like a railroad tie, and also the cement pad there for tents. So the plan is to have a pad large enough for different sizes of tents. If it's a 2-person or even a larger group, maybe 4 to 6 in terms of the tent size there, that each of them can accommodate. We do plan to have picnic tables and a campfire, which I'll show you in the next slide. Also, one thing that we wanted to make sure to do is, again, to kind of really keep top of mind that immersive experience, especially for those that are wanting to maybe do an overnight camp in this space, is our teams are going out there, and yes, we're clearing the space for the planning and things like that, but we're leaving as much of that natural vegetation there so that, each campsite is not right next to each other without maybe some brush or a tree between them, to really make sure that, that experience stays at a high level.
You had a question? You mentioned a fence. This whole area is going to be fenced in?
Yes.
What kind of fence?
Master design fence, it's like a black, where do we have one? Like H2O hut, I don't know, municipal pool.
And that would be for what reason? What did that eliminate a little bit of that natural kind of landscape?
Well, what we're hoping is that a lot of the natural elements will kind of surround the master design fence, but the idea is that in the evening, if campers wanted to be in that space and maybe close the gate, they could for an overnight stay. And, there's going to be times where that is going to be more of a designated space, so we might close it off unless it's been reserved or things like that. So we want to be able to manage the in and out into that particular space.
Okay. I think of camping kind of
Open.
Yes.
That's something that we looked at, but we also wanted to give them, if there are other people were utilizing the park at night or around that time when we had campers there, we just didn't want, others to come and interact with the campers while they were, camping out.
But I don't know. You camp at a national park,
You're not going to run.
That's true.
I've gone to several state parks, I'm sure he has too. Unless you're asked or you waive, you're not going to go to somebody else's campsite. I think it's an intrinsic, unspoken
Self-regulated?
rule.
Self-regulated.
Yeah, self-regulated. I don't think you need a fence. I mean, you feel concerned about security, you put a little bit more lighting maybe.
Yeah, okay.
The other question I had, did you say concrete pad?
There is a plan for, well, right now that's in the planning stages. So for sure, it's going to have the
timbers, that could
The
make sense.
outline of the timber.
Yeah.
I think that the current plan does have for those concrete pads, but that is one item that we may discuss further in terms of not having that as an option.
In some parks, they don't even have anything, you just find a clearing, right?
Right.
And others that do, like Blanco State Park is a good example, they have the timbers.
Right.
But it's larger, I would say it's almost like a 10 by 20, and they use sand.
Okay.
Instead of concrete. Because if
These-
you have if you're really doing the camping with the pitching the tent and putting the tie downs and all that.
Right, and you're right. Maybe going to that next step might limit that, because right now, to get to those 12 spaces, we're looking at about a 9 by 9
Right.
outline. So that's definitely something that we can
It's like a 2,
discuss.
maybe
Yeah.
3 person, maybe a 4 person.
I'm not familiar with what you say, timber? What do you call it?
What?
The,
The edging?
yeah, what do you call it?
Timbers.
Timber.
Timbers?
Yeah.
Don't know what that is.
It's just to keep the sand.
Just to keep the sand in, right? Oh, okay. But I'd be interested to see some from existing national parks or campsites, options, as you stated, maybe just sand versus concrete pads.
Yeah.
Maybe what it looks like, right?
I mean, if you have a picnic table available, yeah, sure, put it on a concrete pad.
'Cause I was looking at
Okay.
this, and I didn't know exactly if that was a little hut or how. We're not building. That's this.
Those are the
tent thing?
pads.
That's the outline.
Yeah, that's the outline of the pad.
That's top looking down,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
overview.
That's what confused me. I was looking at it like it was horizontal.
Yes.
Like it was a little hen house or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, it's what is that?
Now I get it. Yeah.
The frame, the outline would be the timbers.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand. It'd be good to get some, for me, if you could send me some pictures that you have from actual
What it's
campsites
gonna
out
look
there,
like live.
parks, maybe the one he mentioned, so we'd see what would look most appropriate. But yeah, I think if you look out on the horizon and see a bunch of concrete pads, it look a little odd.
Yeah.
You're right, and we are aiming to keep it as natural as possible while
Yes.
still,
Right.
making
Yeah.
sure that we're accessible in all of those components. This next slide shows you a little bit more of a zoomed in photo or picture, of the campsite space. You'll see there are some picnic tables and the campfire pit there. We expect to be able to use stone, wood, tree stumps from the existing space. So that's another thing, is we're out there and we are clearing areas. We're seeing what we can save, what we can reuse in other spaces, to the point where we have found implements out there, old rusty implements that were definitely within the overgrowth, and we're trying to save as many of those, because we envision those being maybe the entrance signage or some sort of installation in the park that can really speak to the space.
Good idea.
The next slide shows you the archery range. So currently, we have a plan for a 70 to 100 yard, archery range. This one that you see here has 5 lanes. And then you'll see to the right of the image, we have kind of gone in back and forth in terms of discussions of what that shooting space would look like. So what we have here is kind of like a lean covered area that would lend itself to be able to accommodate shooters throughout whatever time of the day in terms of shade and sun and visibility. So we do plan to work with USA Archery. We're doing research in terms of how we make sure that this archery range is functional under their parameters and their rules, and so that we can host tournaments that would fit within the U.S. Archery guidelines. And also, not just in the archery range, but also if you go to the next slide, what we've done when identifying where the archery range would be placed is identified areas around that we would leave with the current vegetation that's there. We do currently own 3D targets for archery, so we have the potential to have 3D archery tournaments in the space adjacent to the archery range.
Is that outlined area like a berm?
Yes, it is a berm. Mhm.
This one would be a great place to put a fence. So you have people, no, I'm being serious, so people don't
Yeah.
cut across, or they're wandering, they're not.
Right.
Probably about a 10-foot berm behind the range. So
Right.
that way, no loose areas or.
Right, exactly.
Are we using some, you mentioned US Archery, whatever, and we communicating with them?
Yes, so we've been researching what they do and kind of when we were discussing the distance, what the number of lanes might be, that's kind of where we did the research on their website and kind of reached out in terms of what the ideal would be, because we don't want to have a short range with only 3 lanes, and that's not, at least their minimum.
The reason why is I have a competitor that's an actual archer that goes to tournaments in Mexico and here,
Okay.
and he's very, very astute.
Well, we would love to talk to him.
Resident of McAllen.
Okay, excellent, yes.
We would also love to get our instructors certified
Yes.
USA Archery, so that way they have that credential to teach archery.
You wouldn't allow crossbows there, right?
No.
Okay. Just want to be sure.
The next slide shows you the fishing dock that is planned. So I'm going to show you 2 different docks. The fishing dock and the second one are about 15 feet wide. They do have different shapes to them. So that's once we really dig into the build and the structures of how they would go into the space, then we'll know a little bit more in terms of a final length for those as we continue in the plan process. But we do have a plan for a fishing dock that would allow for patrons to either bring their own fishing poles, rent from the planned hut that we're planning there, and have a day out fishing in the lake that's there. The next one is the kayak launch dock. So this one is also planned to be 15 feet wide. We do plan to have kayak and potential for boat rentals at the space, and also self-launch of, self-owned kayaks into the lake.
How big is the lake?
100 by 40? I've measured it on Google Earth a lot.
We'll get you that.
I'll get it back to you. Yeah, but I think it is 100 feet. It's 100 somewhere. In terms of the parking lot, we do have the main parking lot located at, heading into the main entrance that you see here. This has an estimated 50 spaces right now. As we continue in the stages of the planning, we will have a better finalized number on that one. And then we do plan an overflow parking within the park space. Right now, that one has about 31 spaces planned, but again, once we finalize more of the details, we'll have a better number for you in terms of total space. One thing that we've been talking through internally is how we can ensure that buses, whether they be school buses, tour buses, are able to get in and out with ease for our patrons who want to enjoy the park. I kind of mentioned them as I was going through the presentation. Some potential future programming plans that we have would include overnight camping, kayak rentals and classes, archery classes and tournaments, fishing programs and tournaments, and the opportunity for group rentals and overnight stays. Even field trips out there that might have educational components. We're looking at all of those as possible programming opportunities for the site once we get opened. Any questions?
Are you gonna be charging, or how are you gonna decide how much you're gonna charge, or is it gonna be like a membership?
It could be both. So we would need to develop a price structure for the overnight camps. In terms of the pricing for, say, kayak rentals, we do have an existing fee structure at Town Lake at Fireman's Park. And in terms of a gate fee, we haven't established what that would be.
So if somebody wanted a mountain bike, right, they take their own bike, are we thinking about charging for that, or it's going to be free, just like walking around?
That would be free to the
Okay.
facility, especially if we go out, and we plan to go out to look for additional funding through grants through Texas Park and Wildlife, so it has to be open to the public.
Great. So in terms of it being open to the public, or would it be open 7 days a week, or only on weekends, or what's the
And that's something that we're planning to look at, but, you know, we want it opened up 7 days a week. But however, when we look at the safety component of maybe having an archery competition there, 3D archery, you know, we'll have to close it to the public for that, you know, period of time. But as of now, just like with our other facilities and amenities, we keep open at least 6 days a week and have a maintenance, 1 day for maintenance at the facility, so.
Danny, on the biking trail, is there any little space for a BMX maybe? You know?
Well, yes, sir. If we go back up, and David, with the bicycle group that we were talking with, there's grants out there that he had mentioned. If we look back up on the north side where you see the orange trail, he did mention that there was grants out there to put a BMX biking trail there as well that's surfaced. So that both off-road and BMX bikes could utilize that trail, so.
Danny, but it seems to be outside of the property. Why is it on the other side? What is that?
Which side are you looking at, sir? The north side?
On the west side.
That's a canal.
So the west side, that's your
Oh,
canal?
that's a canal.
Yes, sir. So we will have access to the canal?
Okay, and I thought we were gonna incorporate the house into something there. But is that the white area?
So the property that we currently have here is, yes, sir, this area here.
Okay, and what are we doing with that?
So as we look, we may have to widen this road here, have a double lane back and forth. We might be planning to split the corner to maple hut. You know, when people come in. And then as of now, the property is just the property there. We do maintain it.
But that is our property.
Yes, sir.
Now, because I was thinking about the bike trail, 1.25 is not much for a bike trail, about extending into the area, and walking is a lot easier than,
Biking.
or on biking, usually you need a little more longer.
distance.
And so, yes, sir. So, you know, as Karina mentioned, this was just a preliminary until we actually get in there on foot and see how we can make those trails intertwine and interloop to make it a lot longer. So our goal is to utilize as much as we can with walking and biking.
Are you all gonna incorporate little hills and all that
Yes,
kind
sir.
of stuff?
Yes, sir. So this bike group that we're working with has created the trails in Harlingen, and that's the group that will come in, volunteer their time with us to create those trails.
And Mission too, I think, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I believe in Mission as well.
They're very nice in
Yeah.
Mission.
Well, Mission has a lot of rattlesnakes, so I don't know if we're gonna incorporate that too.
Natural.
But I hear they're real
Natural
nice.
environment.
Yeah.
So just a few more things to add. The lake is 675 feet by 220, so just shy of 4 acres. Also, you know, we definitely are continuing to develop different programming options to make sure that everyone can come out and enjoy at their leisure and at their skill level as well. Regarding the archery, I know that we worked with Mr. Felipe Cavazos for Games of Texas, and we'll continue to have those conversations as well.
Which was the other thing.
Great, awesome.
There you go. See, we're talking to the right.
We're looking at, I mean, the lake, 4-point-something acres. And how many acres do we have at Fireman's?
Fireman's Park?
Three?
Three-ish. It's smaller.
But do they utilize it enough? Because I'm thinking, will it be utilized 4-point-something acres, or should we maybe make it a little smaller? And the reason I'm saying is because of Fireman's Park.
It's a different experience for sure. It's something that we can look at potentially, I guess, on the west side of that, because that is planned to be our service drive and also part of the biking trail. So if we were to revisit that, that's what I would recommend. We would look
Or it
at.
could be revisited after the fact. I mean,
Yes.
Really, so, okay.
Are we doing about 4 or 5 feet deep?
Yeah.
That's it?
Yes, sir.
I went out there 3, maybe 4 years ago. There was a lot of debris, a lot of oil. I don't want to say crude oil, but it looked like it was oil stuff. It was brown, actually. It was brackish. Do we have a plan to clean that up, or?
Our team is out there weekly to do maintenance. We try to clean as much as possible. We do have still access from that west side, so we do have some visitors who come out and leave some debris, but we do our best to keep up with that as well. And yes, so our team is out there, revisiting with the water. To Denny's point, we have our pool operators go out and maintain the pool area. So we're out there pretty frequently doing maintenance in terms of trash pickup and observing the space, make sure that it's staying cleaned and maintained.
Is the source from the canal, the water? It's a canal, right?
Excellent thing.
Any other questions?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Camera update.
Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, thank you. I'll give you a quick update. Hopefully it won't take too much of your time talking about the city's surveillance cameras that we utilize. In your packet is a PowerPoint presentation. I apologize, I updated the wrong PowerPoint when I submitted that, so it has the wrong quantities on it. The one I'm going to present to you has the right quantities. First and foremost, I'd like to give you a little history. Back in 2007, we started discussions about having security cameras for crime prevention. 2 years later, in 2019, PD brought it to City Commission and got the approval to do the first cameras at intersections for video surveillance. Now, their project or their model at the time was strictly surveillance, not monitoring. And I wanted to make sure you all understood that. The meaning between those two is we don't have a labor force sitting in a room watching hundreds of television screens 24 hours a day. So these are cameras that are, if we need to, we can go back and look at the surveillance. Moving forward to 14 years later to where we're at today, we started in 2009, here we're at 2023 today. McAllen has approximately 822 cameras with 1,496 views. The difference is the cameras themselves, 822 is a physical device, but some cameras have 4 lenses that are recording simultaneously in a 360 degree, and each one of those recordings is called a view. So that's why there's more views. So if you want to envision it, you can say we have 1,496 cameras. Those cameras are used at traffic intersections, parks, hike and bikes, city buildings, parking lots. We use them inside of buildings, outside of buildings. And in addition to those 822 cameras, PD has 85 cameras that are license plate recognition, or some people call them license plate readers. The difference between the two, the 822 cameras are video surveillance. They're moving videos, where the 85 on the bottom are still imaged cameras, pictures. So the 85 on the bottom, it'll take a picture. It takes that picture, it converts it to text, it gathers that license plates, and that information can be stored in a database for future investigations. There is even software out there that can take that text, that license plate, and actually run the plates and see if there's any stolen vehicle or other issues.
Are those 85 like live, like?
Those 85 are actually installed at intersections. They're still cameras. As a car goes through, it takes a picture of that car, of the license plate, it converts it to text. So I wouldn't say live as in live video, because it's not video, it's just a live picture.
But it's taking a picture.
It's taking a picture, yep. There's 63 of them at intersections, there's 14 mounted within PD cars, and there's 8 of them that are on those speed trailers that PD can move around throughout the city.
And the data from the license plate recognition, is that stored?
I don't have that information. Well, you know what? Let me go back. It has to be stored. It has to be stored.
Because it's going to get very involved really
Yeah.
quick. We don't need to get to that detail.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah. So 822 video, 85 the license plates. Combined, we have a total of 907 cameras. We utilize those first and foremost for crime fighting, right? We use them for, first and foremost, a visual camera mounted somewhere is, I call it as as a deterrent, but it's a surveillance. License plates cameras are great forensic tools to be used after a crime, to go back and look at the data, grab the license plate, seeing where the vehicles are going. Surveillance camera footage, those assist with investigations. And then also we use them for building security, indoor and outside of security. Other than crime fighting, we also use those for operations. Traffic can use those cameras to look at an intersection, see that the yellow bulb is out. They can look at traffic flow. They can use it for weather conditions to see if the street is flooding at this intersection. And we also use it both, internal parking lots for internal city investigations. So really, there's a lot of purpose for what we can use the cameras for. But this started as a crime fighting tool. And that was back in 2009. So that's, little overview, kind of show you, just some of the cameras. These are the single cameras that are mounted at intersections. We also have in buildings. This is probably a 4 camera, wrapping around, looking at the side of the building. And then here's a 4 camera where it sees, 360 degree at parks. So we have them everywhere. So, and that's all I have. I was trying to keep it short. Any questions?
You have a project to expand more of this use, or as every controlled intersection comes about, we're adding cameras? Or?
I would say that when you all approved the new traffic cabinets for the lights, and the Wi-Fi and the fiber, we've been now getting those intersections, those cabinets online so that traffic can manage them remotely. That has given us the network capacity at those intersections now to put cameras. So yes, we have a huge opportunity to continue to expand.
But most of them are connected by fiber, right?
Yeah, I'm going to say probably rough number, 80% of them are connected on fiber, 25% are connected on Wi-Fi. Yep.
The current number of LPRs, does that include the ones, did we add some last year? Or did they purchase some last year through a grant maybe?
I think all 85 were accumulated at one time through a grant. That's my knowledge. I thought it was through a federal
I
grant.
don't recall.
Yeah.
We can do some research.
I can get that information.
Counselor, are these subject to open meetings or records?
See, that's where we're going.
Possibly, but not necessarily.
That may pose a lot of problems.
There's no expectation of privacy.
Yes, sir. But there are exceptions to the Open Records Act that would allow us to
Sure.
withhold.
Any other questions? Anything else? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
McAllen update, Chines update.
I have some limited expectation of privacy to my phone. I'm gonna go in my car. Yeah, it could be.
All right, Mayor, Commissioners, one of the things we wanted to talk about tonight, we'll try to be quick because I know we're short on time. During the budget process, one of the things that staff heard was the desire to enhance what we're doing right now in terms of beautification and cleanliness throughout the city of McAllen. So we're going to give you a quick proposal that's going to highlight a couple of things. One, what we've done in the past and what we're doing now. And the second one, a potential proposal for what we could do moving forward here within the city of McAllen. I've got Mario Vela, Assistant Public Works Director, here with me, and then also Chris Lash, the Keep McAllen Beautiful Program Manager. And I'm going to let Chris talk to you briefly about what we're doing right now in the city.
Thanks so much. So this past April, we actually had our Great American Cleanup, and the Great American Cleanup actually saw over 1,600 volunteers. We actually picked up over 2,000 pounds of trash, of litter from our city streets, our major thoroughfares, and this was done through volunteers from churches, schools, different community organizations. We also have an Adopt a Park program that we started a few years ago. Through the Adopt a Park program, currently we have 15 parks adopted. Last year alone, we had 509 volunteers at our parks that have been adopted, and they picked up, over 3,500 pounds of trash from our parks. And again, these volunteers are comprised of businesses that have adopted a park, families that have adopted a park, and so this is a great collaboration here in our community. The Arbor Day celebration, that's another big event that we do every year, and that event we saw last year 120 volunteers, but of course the highlight of our event is the trees. We gave away over 1,000 trees. This year the Arbor Day celebration is coming up in November, and we also plan on giving away over 1,000 trees, but we also do an ongoing tree workshop on site during the event to teach our residents how to properly plant a tree and take care of the tree. This past summer, we started the Youth Advisory Committee. It's a committee through Keep McAllen Beautiful for young people from our different schools. We wanted to not only incorporate MISD, but also other schools in our community. And currently, we have the election of officers was held. The idea is to bring the young people to our meetings and to meet with them so that they can learn about our events and projects and bring them back to their schools, and also start environmental clubs in their schools, and also help facilitate beautification projects within their schools. One of the other things that we did, I'm sure you all are familiar with Sam Houston Elementary, the Houstonville Minitropolis. So we started a Keep Houstonville Beautiful within Sam Houston Elementary. And we are proposing that we do that as well with other schools. And the proposal would include to help mimic what Keep McAllen Beautiful does, but also introduce McAllen Shines to these schools. And that would include a general assembly at the school, and then teach them about litter awareness, about recycling, and then also deputize the children to, have the mayor come, have the city council attend, and help deputize the children and empower them to go back home and teach this to their parents, not just keep it within the school, but also bring it home. As awareness to their parents. And then also, of course, have every school participate in the Great American Cleanup, do litter cleanups, do a token tree planting at every school, and try to teach them about helping to beautify their school, but also, again, bringing that beautification effort back to their homes as well, with their parents. And also recycling, that's an important component as well.
So what we wanted to talk to you about is a potential program that would enhance really what's happening now. So McAllen Shines is kind of the draft name that we've got for this program, and it would really involve changing the culture of the community, finding different ways to reach out to all aspects of the community to build on what we're doing so far. It would include all the departments in the city, all the employees within the city, and you can see in this first slide, we've got all the different logos. It would involve every single department, but would really build then to every student in the city, all the residents, all the businesses, even the visitors. We would try to build this into a program that would reach out to everyone. We've got a draft mission statement here, working together for a cleaner, more beautiful McAllen.
Oh my God.
Sorry. Take a little more work than that for Brownsville. Beautiful McAllen, I'm so sorry. And then on the next slide, you'll see, McAllen. Next slide, you'll see the logo here. And there's a question mark because we'll need to build a logo for this, and we'll need to get together, and we can involve the community and the students for that as well. In terms of methodology, you'll see there's really 3 aspects of this. Y'all are never going to let me forget that, are you?
No, never.
Man.
Never.
9 years, and I finally did it. Educate, demonstrate, participate. Really 3 aspects of this. Not only is the education going to be important, but part of the reason we have to involve the different city departments is we're going to have to show the community what we're talking about, and then make sure that we get them to participate. In terms of the education, you can see here, I won't read all of this off of there, But again, it would involve a great deal of involvement from each department within the city. The department heads would also include elementary and middle school students. We talked about all the students within the city, not only from the local school district, but from homeschooling organizations, all the different aspects of our education system, as well as higher education, making sure that we involve them. In addition to that, we would put a sticker together. There would be a McAllen Shines campaign. And then we would also involve commercial businesses throughout the city and make sure that we get them involved, working through the Chamber of Commerce to really emphasize what we're trying to do. You can see one of our target groups right here. When you combine all of the students that we've got within the city of McAllen, over 20,000 different people that we can involve. And part of this would involve getting with especially elementary, junior high students, deputizing them, so to speak, hopefully getting the mayor over there so that we can get these students excited about what we have planned for them and encourage them not only at school but also at home and as they go throughout their lives here in McAllen, making sure that they are looking out for ways that they can help us reduce litter and keep the city clean. So in terms of a budget, the next slide is going to show you a draft of what this would look like. There's a few items on this chart that are in green. You'll see there's a herbicide truck for $150,000, a street sweeper for $350,000, and then 2 equipment operators. All of that totals $599,947. That has already been approved in this year's budget as we went through the budget process. The additional items that you see on that screen are what we propose could be required to continue this program. A promotional advertising campaign would be involved. We would need staff to manage that, to spearhead the program. And then you also see an additional piece of equipment, a $218,000 vacuum truck that would be used in the tight areas that we've got throughout the city, and then an operator to utilize that. In terms of numbers, we would be looking, if we wanted to start this program now, we'd be looking at $347,577 potentially now. And then next fiscal year, we could add the other $254,465, which would be that piece of equipment and the operator to go with that. In terms of partnerships, one of the other things I'll mention quickly is that as we talk about the need to educate the community, to educate the students, make sure that they're all on board with what we're doing, we would also need some type of a consequence to those that are not doing what they should be doing. That would obviously involve part of the education process, but it would also include municipal court, police department, health code enforcement, making sure that we're getting the message out there. In a lot of ways similar to what we did with the Recycle Right campaign is what we're thinking. And then finally, there's a list of partners there that you see. It says future partners. These are actually partners that we currently work with. There are many, many more that could be added to this list, but we wanted to give the idea that we'll be working with individuals, with schools, with businesses throughout the community. And again, the goal to make a more beautiful city of McAllen for us and our residents. And we'll open it up to any questions.
Since some of the, I guess, audience that we're going to be approaching, educating our children, would it also be a good idea to maybe have like a mascot, like McGraw, Kirby?
Absolutely.
Someone that the children can relate to, and maybe, with the campaign, develop stickers, or whatever, right?
Absolutely.
So it's all consistent, right? Because I do agree with the mayor, who brought this up some time back. You start implementing the behavior or behavior modification through children, it'll eventually seep back into the households and back into the community.
And you're absolutely right about a changing culture. That's really what we need. And we're thinking about, and I think everybody knows the reason we came up with this stuff is because of Tampico. But even the curbs, how clean they were, it was amazing. So we have a great media department that can assist and do videos where we have people cleaning the curb, and we start doing it ourselves. People will be shamed not to do their own after a while. So we have that. We have, one of the things we possibly need to do, I need to talk to council, is about landscapers. Landscapers cause a lot of problems for not only how it looks, but also for our drainage systems, throwing the grass and debris inside there. So we probably need to take a look into some of those issues. And then we forgot one of our main high schools in there. Pioneer.
Pioneer is in McAllen.
Pioneer.
Yeah.
The city of McAllen.
Absolutely.
But I really am excited about this, and I think the whole commission is. I think we change the culture within McAllen, and it'll spread to Mission, Edinburgh, Fort, and the Rio Grande Valley. But it all starts here.
And I think if everybody does their part, I think we really do something really good for McAllen. Especially, I've seen a lot, I mean, I don't want to, I don't know which departments, but I've seen some trucks with City of McAllen, and, you know, there's a TV cardboard right in the middle of the street. I mean, you can park and get out of the way, and you just go by to it. So something like that will help, you know, if we can get everybody involved, it would help out.
Excited about this. Anything else? We're about to start the meeting. Ms. Latch, thank you very much. Mr.
Thank you,
SpaceX, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brownsville. Good job, Mr. Brownsville.
Public,
This concludes the workshop of the McAllen City Commission. Workshops are held every second and fourth Monday of the month, convening at 4 p.m. at the McAllen City Commission chamber on the third floor at McAllen City Hall.
So I think sometimes we see that from a distance, and people have been fascinated to come and say, "What's going on in McAllen, man?" I mean, it's a standout.
For the City of McAllen, I'm Leah Yadis.